initiated as a Swami around the age of 28, 29, when I left my college job as a professor of business management and law in Calcutta University, St. Xavier's College. That was way back in 1967, 68. And ever since I plunged into the whole social transformation, social, economic, political transformation, and keeping the poorest of the poor. And how can we bring justice to their lives? Through spiritual means, nothing violent. Because there are some other people, young people, who have taken up arms and they kill what they call the class enemy. The followers of Mao or Lenin or some other people, and they think that that's the only way they can bring about justice. When I felt challenged, when I was teaching all of these university courses, then I thought that I cannot kill anybody, not even a small chicken or animal, let alone a human being. So I decided to take the other route through spiritual sort of means. How can we bring about justice, real justice for our poorest of the poor? And that was in 1968. I began this journey. And now it is 52 years that I'm like a Swami. It's a new initiation. It's something new for my life, because the day I was initiated, I was asked to give up all my family, whatever small family connections, attachments. So all that gone. Then another attachment is towards the wealth or property, whichever I had. So that was completely taken, and I became total declassed. No property in my name. Even today, there is not a single inch of property anywhere in the world in my name, of which I can say I am the owner. So I live on charity and something like that. And third thing was attachment to one's own name and fame. That is very difficult to get rid of. So the idea behind giving a new name is that to forget your old name and get detached from that attachments of name and fame. So this Swami Agnivesh, Agni means fire and Vesh means embodiment. I like this very concept of fire, which is always, purifying and lightening and everything. So that's how my name Agnivesh. And Swami is like, the meaning is master, but not of others, of oneself. So we have to take care of our own self and try to live a life of self-restraint, as we call it. So that is the discipline we have to follow. So there are many others who don this saffron color or orange color, but this is really the color of the fire, the flame. And we have to consign to flame our sort of worldly desires, etc., and become soldiers of truth. And we should have the capacity to speak truth to power. That is the highest duty which is conferred on a Swami. But there are hundreds and thousands of such Swamis in our country and maybe outside. Those who simply don this robe don't really do that work. They don't have a mission like that. So anyway, so last 52 years, I have been in the struggles, proactively involved for justice, for the poorest of the poor, the farmers, the landless laborers, bonded laborers in the brick kilns, stone quarries, child laborers in millions and millions. So they are all victims of modern day slavery. Their number today stands around 500 million in India, 500 million of our workforce who are toiling masses. They are in conditions of modern day slavery in this country. And this fact is not really realized by people outside. I think India is one of the fastest emerging economy, this and that, investment, foreign direct investment, this and that. So we have been caught up in a different discourse, the market discourse or narrative. So that's the problem. So our voices are getting drowned when we stand up for the voiceless, the most disadvantaged, the most helpless and helpless. Nobody really takes us seriously or gives us any media space or anything. To begin with, we had that facility, but now it's shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And the globalization and market forces, they have taken over the whole world and particularly India. So that's all about me. And because these 500 million people are living in conditions of modern slavery, it's not just an economic dimension to it, but also the social dimension, which we call caste system. The caste system in India is something very, very diabolical. And this is, we condemn a child by birth is called high caste born and another child is low caste born. Some are even untouchable. So millions of them. And then we have the condition of about 100 million of our indigenous people, 100 million. Indigenous people, we call them indigenous in the sense Adivasi, but they live mostly in forest areas, on the hills, mountains, etc., in central India, but they are the most exploited. And the constitution which is there for them not being implemented, constitutional provisions. So they are also being driven out of poverty, unemployment, etc. And they are being recruited as bonded laborers in the brick kilns, stone quarries, as farm labor, etc. So now in this particular situation, which we are all going through, the worldwide lockdown because of COVID-19, they are the worst sufferers, worst. And the government is not doing anything for them worthwhile. They just take it for granted, and therefore hundreds and thousands of simply walking, hungry, starving, dying, dropping dead on the way, but they just want to go back home. They are migrant laborers from one state to 1,000 kilometers on the other side of the country. And men, women, children in mothers' arms. If you can simply log into some of these pictures or stories, it's a horrifying story. And the state, the governments have not been able to fully meet their requirements. And we have been doing our level best, whatever we can do, and many other groups are doing. So that is the current situation. Anyway, to cut short this particular thing, my introduction may go on and on. So let me start with the concept. Home for Humanity, as I said, is a beautiful concept. And to realize this concept, I would start by invoking some sort of a prayer or invocation, I would say. And it's a very simple. I remember the most merciful and the most just and loving and truthful cosmic energy, which we call God, the Creator God, not personified or nothing. cosmic energy which is pervading every subatomic particle of the universe, all completely formless. And that is what we worship, which is inside of us, outside of us. The whole universe is being pervaded by this God force. Oh, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ek Onkar Satnam Vaheguru. God, the Lord Supreme, call by whatever name. God has no name. We, for our own convenience, we call that Creator, the most merciful Creator of this boundless universe, by whatever names we devise. The God, highest gift to us human beings, is this human body, which has a soul, a mind, and a brain intellect to discern right from the wrong. So our capacity to discern is the highest, and that is our duty also. So whenever I start any conversation with the young people, anywhere in the world, school, college, universities, I insist that they should use this power to question all authority, and particularly whatever you are listening, reading, or going through, and just don't accept it blindly. Whoever, you may have regard for that person, but don't accept him as the authority or the final truth. So from the Vedas and from the person who started this great movement called Arya Samaj, now we have initiated World Arya Samaj, that Vishwa Arya Samaj, and we are enlisting members for it. Last month, 25th of March, we started, and now we have got Muslims and Christians and everybody, different nations. So we are becoming equal members of this new movement. The idea is that we should have a clear concept of God, because the religions, organized, institutionalized as they have completely corrupted the God concept and become their self-appointed agents. And they build buildings in the name of temple, mosque, church, gurudwara, etc. And they call that temple to be the most sacred. And they are ready to fight and kill each other if something happens which is, according to them, does not fulfill the test of sacredness. We consider the human body to be the most sacred and the most precious. Put all the temples, mosques, and churches and gurudwaras on the one side, put them together, and one human body. And still that one human body, living, throbbing, pulsating, is far more precious than all the so-called other precious and sacred places of religion. So unless and until we imbibe this right, rational concept of God, who is all pervading in our body, the body is home to minimum 100 trillion cells. 100 trillion cells minimum. And each cell is a miracle. And this whole body has been compared to a microcosm of the whole universe. The universe, as we are being told by the great scientists, 13.6 or 7 billion light years away. And still, that's not the end. Ever expanding. And therefore, our planet Earth is only like a tiny grain of sand, or say little rice. Our Earth planet. And even that earth, we have not been able to make it into a home. And the Vedas enjoin upon us, go beyond the home, call it a family. And the whole universe is your family. The word used here is Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole universe, a family. Because when we say home, it means mostly the human beings. But when we say a family, the universe, that if you really want to say home for humanity, then we should mean humanity and all other birds, animals, part of our extended family. We are a family. Now, why is family concept more powerful? Because in a family, it is the youngest and the most vulnerable child who gets attention first. Compassion, love, and all the care. And the breadwinner takes his or her share the last. That is how a family survives and grows. Now, why does this happen? Because this is something spontaneous, something very, very spiritual. Though there is no economic logic behind it. So, and every human heart has that potential. Every human heart and mind and soul has that potential become the home or the family concept, to embrace this concept. So now scientists are telling us about 3D printing. We can build big houses, this and that. So we can build homes like that, but that's insufficient. So we have to go beyond. And when we say family, then we are to be challenged, feel challenged. The condition of the most disadvantaged, the most vulnerable, the most dispossessed. They are not born poor because God wants them to be born poor, but because our systems, economic, political systems are responsible to perpetuate their hegemony. They keep the vast majority of our humanity poor and poorest of the poor. And Mahatma Gandhi was very much influenced by John Ruskin, a European philosopher, Christian. And his book was titled Unto This Last. It's a biblical concept, but where the idea is that if you want to really develop and change and transform the society, the exercise should begin from bottom upwards, that means from the least among the last, and not trickle down, not percolation theory of development. Unfortunately, the world over, and globalization in particular, we are embarking on this trickle down, percolation. The rich are getting richer and richer and richer, 1% owning more than 99% of the wealth of the humanity. And if you are not feeling challenged to change it, then it's a disgrace to call home for humanity. Because we are all born equal. We are all equal, black or white, male or female, high caste or low caste, Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian, or Indian or Pakistani or Afghanistani or whoever. We're all born equal on this, we can say, Earth, our home, planet Earth. And there is no plan B, as we all say. So this is our challenge. How can we abolish this very, very painful situation of poverty, grinding poverty, dehumanizing poverty? So that's the biggest challenge. It's very easy to call home for humanity and things like that. And sitting in St. Gallen, I've been through that several times during my train journeys in Switzerland. Switzerland itself is a beautiful garden country. one of the most beautiful countries of the world. But when I look at the total population, it's hardly 7 million. And India alone, this capital city of Delhi, where I'm living and working through my office, has more than double the population of the whole of Switzerland. Now you should understand my age is 80 years and 7 months. And 2 years ago, I was assaulted in one tribal area called Jharkhand. You can go to the YouTube and find the whole live recording. Another 1 month later, again, I was assaulted here in Delhi in 2018. Ever since, I've been suffering from very chronic liver disease. They call it cirrhosis of the liver. I don't drink alcohol and like that, but still I've been diagnosed as suffering from chronic liver disease. And only 16 days ago, the topmost doctor here in India, they were asking me to be ready for liver transplant. No other way. But because of my age, the surgeons say we cannot take risk. So I'm pulling on. How long, I don't know, but let us hope a few more years or months or days. So I'm going on. Every day I go to hospital, 5-6 hours, get albumin. Today also I was there in the morning. So this way, for many months I've been getting this treatment. But still I like this, and I was quite excited to know about from Alexander and Rama that you are initiating this project. So I'm so glad to participate in it. So first and foremost, I would like to ask you to practice 3 Ds. First D is to doubt whatever I'm saying. Second D is to debate. And third is the most important. Whenever, wherever necessary, dissent. Don't agree. And the whole process has to be through dialogue. No use of force. So the home of for humanity should adopt the 3 Ds and the dialogue, the only way to reach out to millions and millions through social media or whatever. So that is one request. And also think of those who are in conditions of dehumanizing poverty. And while you think of the poor being victimized, the world over 21,000 people, particularly children, are dying of hunger, starvation every day. Every day, 21,000. In India alone, 7,000 are dying every day. Children in mother's land. And the UN's 17 goals for sustainable development, topmost, number 1 is zero hunger, 2030. On the other side, we have got animal farm industries where cattle and pigs are being fattened on the grain which is meant for human consumption. And you will never come across a single pig dying of starvation or a cattle dying of starvation. They are being extra fattened to get more meat out of them. And then the whole slaughterhouses and all of that. So we have to feel compassion for those birds and animals. Every day we have been killing 1 billion birds and animals, not to count the fishes. Just animals and birds, 1 billion every day. Artificially being bred and then killing and eating and all of this. And part of the coronavirus is because of this, whatever you might have also heard from the wet markets of China and this and that, and still going on. So these are very challenging things. So let us feel committed, feel challenged in our humble way, but in a strong way. Let us become proactive. A few of you, if you can really become proactive and take up social spirituality, not any religion, but spirituality, which are the core values of all religions and all humanistic traditions. then you will realize what a powerful instrument of transformation, agent of transformation you have become. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And after listening to all of that, we're even more grateful for the precious time that you give us here. So we'll try to make the best out of it by asking very, hopefully, good questions. I wanted to base on what you said very last here on the agents of transformation and ask you, like, based on your past learnings, if you could give specific advice to the young generation of today who are starting on their own personal transformative journey as agents of transformation. Like, where would you see the first steps, for example, for these kind of agents of transformation to start changing this immense poverty that is still in the world, or this concentration of wealth that you talked about? What would be your advice to starting agents of transformation of the younger generation?
Very good question. And for that, I would advise, my humble suggestion would be, go and spend some time. Live with them. A day or two, or a week or two, minimum, with those people who are victims of this global hunger and destitution. The bottom of those 99%. And in India, you are most welcome any day, any time. And we can take you not too far from Delhi, or even from some of the capital cities of our states. So they are everywhere. So you will find millions and millions living in that condition: squalor, disease, hunger, unemployment, no education. We have child labor, that means child slavery, to the tune of 100 million. Children below the age of 15 are not going to school, but working like adult laborers, being paid pittance. So all of these situations are there, but we need eyes and ears and people to empathize with such people. So sitting so far away in Switzerland, you cannot imagine what poverty is like. What landlessness is like. They don't have even an inch of land on which they can build their own little hut, millions of them. So this is the situation, but to live with such people, number one, for a small period, to sort of understand the problem from very close. And secondly, as part of a human family, home for humanity, ask yourself this other question: what can you do? And never trivialize your potential. As individuals, you have all the potential to trigger, to catalyze something big change. Big changes have come not by huge masses, but by few individuals. The ideas. And if you can trigger that sitting there in St. Gallen or wherever, and then you can have hundreds and thousands and millions of them. And thanks to this new technology, Internet of Things and other things, we can reach out people who are maybe some of them far more committed worldwide. So let us tap this resource and increase our tribe. That's one thing.
Great insight, thank you. And just to build on that too, on this kind of unity in the word humanity, which is especially important now also that everyone is confined at home, that this importance of connection and of uniting people becomes even more pressing and urgent right now. And in your life journey, and also from what I could read in some parts of your book, Applied Spirituality, you have always fought to unite people, for example, by going beyond religion, or as you say in the book, beyond this dividing and sectarian identity. as you call it? And how can we as humanity become more united and connected in today's world, where most of our connections are actually superficial or digital? How can we get a more like personal connection to unite humanity?
To become agents of transformation, as Gandhiji said, be the change that you want to see in the world. So try to make your own life as simple and sharing and caring. So that should be your mission, number one. And try to be as compassionate in the true sense of the term, all embracing. So that is one. And our goal should be to create equity, equality, and social justice throughout the world. We are all born equal, and the laws of creation are all equal. The sun is shining equally, the moon is shining equally, the air we are breathing is equal for all, and the raindrops are falling equally. But our social, political, economic systems are breeding inequality, creating walls, divisive. Religions are doing that. The so-called sovereign nation state concept itself is something very, very violent concept. Militarized nations. We have been spending nearly $2 trillion on our defense mechanism, military armaments every year, as per the Stockholm Peace Research Institute. $2 trillion. Cutting down that by 10% alone, 10% only, can provide for all the major problems of our, sustainable development and education and healthcare and what sanitation. But who is going to tell them? So we need to march towards something like a world government. These 193 or more of these so-called sovereign nation states are in the grip of this corporate market capitalism, and they are subserving their interest. And these market forces are out to privatize natural resources. Natural resources belong to us all equally. Mother Earth belongs to each one of us. But some people have make it into private property, and they are milking it, they are exploiting it, and destroying the nature. Air pollution, water pollution, now whatever. So this way, there has to be a paradigm shift. And we can just imagine what it should be like and be an embodiment of those values yourself.
Amazing, thank you. And what else? Maybe Stephanie, if you have a question.
Yes, talking about paradigm shifts, what would you say could come out of this crisis? What big opportunities lie in this crisis? Do we have a chance for unity? Is that the trigger for it, maybe, even? What do you think?
Yeah, this is a wake-up call, or much more than that, a warning from the nature. We have been playing havoc with the nature, with our animal world, and with everything, in the name of so-called development and the capitalism. And therefore, this is a big, big warning. And this is not the last of the virus. It's just one of those beginning ones. We had the bird flu, we had the mad cow disease. We did not wake up. This time, the whole world is in the grip of coronavirus. And those powerful countries with atomic nuclear arsenal, they are finding themselves helpless. USA or France or UK or whatever. So this way, we should turn this into an opportunity. Opportunity for rethinking the model, the paradigm. How to live in friendship with nature. Not to sort of overcome it not to vanquish it. So the whole Darwinian concept of survival of the fittest, no. Survival of the weakest should be our goal. The weakest of the weak should be, has the first right to survive in this whole world. And that with that goal, we need to march it. And how to share and care. And keep the climate change crisis could not also shake us. Since 1972 and particularly after Rio conference in 1992, where all scientists, the world came together, all heads of states came together in 1992. And they were all saying, change your lifestyle. Otherwise, you are doomed. But finally came the then president of the USA, the George Bush Sr. And he made a very audacious statement. Whatever your debates and discussions and conclusions, American lifestyle is not up for negotiations. Go to hell. And the same is now being repeated by Donald Trump. Whatever your Paris Agreement, go to hell. We are not going to abide by it. So, with this situation, what can we do? Now we are paying the price. So, this ordinary citizens, students particularly, university, college, senior students of schools like Greta Thunberg and many others. So, we should all take up the challenge, the cudgels, and say, no, we will not listen to you. You have failed us miserably, and we will now decide our future and all our policies. And millions of students, if necessary, come out on the streets one day, hopefully, to challenge this system, which is breeding inequality on a daily and hourly basis. So this must be challenged and create a more harmonious society, harmony with nature. The Vedas say, Mitrasya Chakshusha Sarvani Bhutani Samikshamai. Look at the entire universe and the living creatures with the eye of a friend. No? And the whole world should be reduced to a nest, bird's nest. Yatra Sakal Vishwa Bhavait Ek Needam. You call it home. The Vedas, millions of years ago, they dreamt of a whole of humanity as a nest, N-E-S-T. So these are concepts are there already. And the great Buddha has spoken about it, lived that life, and many other great champions. And in our own times, Mahatma Gandhi. And Small is Beautiful, that little book you might have come across. So E.F. Schumacher is the writer. So no more. So these are the things which we can rely upon. But please read that book by Franz Fanon, The Wretched of the Earth. Wretched of the Earth. And that is far more relevant. So Immanuel Kant also talks about one world government, etc., one world family, etc. But the wretched of the earth, unless and until we are able to integrate them as our own brothers and sisters, we have no hope. So this discrimination, this prejudice in the name of religion or caste or anything, hatred, breeding violence, and leading to disastrous consequences. They must be given up, and we should have love as an instrument. So what Jesus taught us was the paradigm shift demands from love of power to power of love. Yes, power of love is inherent in each one of us, but that is being taken over by love of power. The people who want to wield authority military power, money power, and they are dictating everything. So people's democracy, we the people of the earth. There is a constitution which has been framed, and I'm also part of that movement called World Constitution and Parliament Association, led by one Dr. Glenn T. Martin of USA, great university professor. And I'm on the list of distinguished advisors. And we are trying to formulate, we have already started with this constitution for the Federation of Earth. And based on that, we are creating members who are provisional world citizens, not one country, but world citizens. And one day we should be able to sort of authenticate this constitution, and then we create a world government. Replace this present day UNO, which has become very, very weak, with 5 most militarized nations enjoying veto power. What a distortion. 5 most militarized nations of the world enjoying veto power. Where is democracy? The General Assembly is like a club, chit-chat club, can't do anything. So we need to feel challenged and do much. But you have all the potential, Stefan. Each one of you. I look forward to that. And one day, my health permits, I'll come to your university, spend more than a day, 2, 3, if possible. I've got my great friend living in Swiss Alps, small village, which hardly 54 homes. And he is now suffering from cancer, unfortunately. Marcel Ray, his name. Wife is Pauline from Canada, that area. But anyway, if my health permits, I would love to come and spend some time. But in the meantime, you also think of coming to India or going to some place in Africa or some other place. And Alexander is our best friend. Rama is really an asset. Theater for transformation. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And we really would love to meet you in person, of course. Here in Switzerland or in India, that would be amazing. And Mark, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was
You
actually...
want to see the room?
Yes.
Yeah. The place where I'm sitting has a big window overlooking a big tree. We call it people tree. People means like banyan tree, which gives oxygen even during the night. Even during the night, it gives oxygen. So I sit on this place, and I'll show you some of my other walls. Like this is the background, green, and Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the backdrop where I study, and some of these great people who inspired me. So take it closer to the window. Can you see the tree?
Yes, beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. And in my own bedroom, where I meditate also, the tree has come right inside of my room. Lovely. And only 15 days ago, all the leaves had dropped. And last 15 days, again, it's become so green. That's nature. Beautiful.
Wonderful. And
Devote some time for meditation. That is very, very important. No ritual, nothing outside, going inside. And going inside means through your breath. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. It has been happening all our life. Just be aware of it, where it touches, where it goes, how it comes out. If you can focus on that for half an hour to start with, it will start having transformative effect on each one of us. This is what the Buddhists called vipassana.
Mhm.
Yes.
And do you think that this practice of meditation is something that has always helped you recenter and reconnect with your values and your integrity, now that so many people are stuck at home and they're kind of forced to reflect on themselves and the life they're living? Is that something that could help them recenter and reconnect?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing, whatever we want to do for the humanity, we should understand who I am. If God is all truth, I should know the truth about myself. Who am I? What am I here for? And what will be left when this body is no more? One day, inevitable. So, if I am something different from the body, so body and bodily attachments, they must come secondary. The first and foremost is my soul, the formless. And so that soul is onward journey towards liberation. An onward journey is possible if I evolve on a daily basis on the pilgrimage of truth and love, compassion, and justice. This is trying to imbibe the values of the Creator and practice them after opening the eyes, after coming out of meditation. So, and that means proactively, it means that whenever and wherever you feel the dark forces of untruth, tyranny, unfreedom, injustice, violence are raising their head, you have to raise your voice. That's it.